This is the new 12mm f2 autofocus lens from Samyang, and it's amazing. If you're looking for a really good ultra-wide-angle lens for Sony APS-C cameras on a budget, then stick around because you're not gonna want to miss this one. Samyang originally released the 12mm lens as a manual focus lens, and that was loved by astrophotographers and landscape photographers for a long time. But now, with this second version of the lens, they've got this amazing autofocus, which makes me really excited. This lens works really well for these wider establishing shots, but I was surprised how well it worked even in these tighter shots, because usually ultra-wide-angle lenses distort the image and therefore aren't very flattering for faces, but this one worked really well. And I was surprised that I barely noticed any vignetting when using an ND filter with this lens. I also did some vlogging tests with the Samyang 12mm f2, and I liked how well the autofocus actually worked and how light the lens felt while vlogging. This is the vlogging test with the Samyang 12mm f2 with the Sony a6500, and I'm holding the camera at an arm's length. This is the vlogging test with the Sony 10-18mm f4 lens with the Sony a6500 set at 12mm focal length, and I'm holding the camera at an arm's length. And of course, I did an autofocus test where I walked towards the camera, and the lens did a really good job in keeping the focus on my face. Because 12mm is a fairly wide focal length, this fits well in filming in tight spaces, and the first thing that came in my mind was some kind of a bartender making some kind of a cocktail, but we settled for Tia making some smoothie. Honestly, I usually don't like shooting photos with a wide-angle lens, but I must say, I really like the results that I got with this lens. Okay, we need to talk about the specs of the lens, of course. This lens weighs only 213 grams and it's only 59.2 millimeters in length, and according to Focus Nordic, it's the lightest and smallest lens in the 12mm lens market. The filter size of the lens is 62 millimeters, which is kind of a downside for me because I need to use step-up rings in order to fit my 67mm ND filters on this lens. And sometimes you tend to forget those step-up rings at home, and even if you don't, I really don't enjoy fiddling around with those step-up rings. But that's not a deal breaker for me, don't get me wrong. Okay, finally, let's talk about the price of the lens. So, My apologies, I'm gonna have to read my notes because my brain can't handle too many numbers at once. But anyways, the Samyang 12mm f2 lens cost $379 US, and its two closest competitors, the Tamron 11 to 20mm f2.8 lens, cost around $829 US, and the Sony 10 to 18mm f4 lens, which I'm filming with right now, cost around $798. So essentially this lens cost around half the price of the competitors. But obviously those other two lenses are zoom lenses and this isn't, but still it's amazing that this lens doesn't cost any more than it does. Let's talk about the pros and the cons of this lens. Like I mentioned before, one of the downsides of this lens is that the filter size is 62mm, which means that I need to use step-up rings in order to fit my bigger ND filters on this lens. The other thing is that because this isn't a zoom lens, when you're vlogging for example and there's happening something in the background, you can't just zoom in to show your audience a closer look at what's happening. And that might be a deal breaker for some people who are vlogging a lot. But what I really love about this lens is that with approximately half of the price of the Tamron and Sony lenses, you get the fast aperture of f2, which gives you that nice cinematic background blur, that bokeh, and because of that fast aperture, it lets more light into the sensor, which makes this lens really good in low light situations. The manual focus version of this lens was already really popular for astrophotography and landscape photography, but with the amazing autofocus capabilities of this new version, this is a really good videography lens as well, whether you are a vlogger or someone who films real estate or someone who films a lot of commercials where you need to get really close to the action and get some nice detailed shots. This is a really good choice for you, considering that it has a really good bang for your buck. So if you fall into one of those categories or several, then I highly recommend this lens for you. Also, I want to say a huge thank you for Focus Nordic and Samyang for collaborating with me to make this video. If you found this review helpful and want to learn more, then I highly recommend that you watch either one of these two reviews somewhere here on the screen, because I think you're gonna find it helpful as well. Okay, thanks for watching and I'll see you again in the next video. Take care.